In the quiet moments between the rushing currents of our daily lives, we all yearn for a deep, abiding peace. Yet how often do we find ourselves caught in storms of anger, anxiety, fear, or hurt that seem to arise from nowhere, sweeping us away from that center of calm we so desperately seek? These emotional tempests leave us feeling disconnected, not only from others but from ourselves, from the quiet wisdom that resides within each of us, waiting patiently to be heard. I understand this struggle intimately. The mind, as the Buddha observed over 2,500 years ago, is excitable and fickle, difficult to guard and to restrain. Our thoughts race from past regrets to future worries, rarely resting in the present moment where peace can be found. We become entangled in webs of negative thinking, harsh judgments, and reactivity that creates suffering for ourselves and those around us. The weight of these patterns can feel overwhelming, as if we are trapped in cycles we cannot break. Yet there exists an ancient wisdom that speaks directly to our modern emotional pain. The Dhammapada, a collection of verses attributed to the Buddha, offers profound insights into the nature of our minds and hearts, and provides practical guidance for transforming our inner landscape. These teachings are not distant philosophical concepts but living tools for healing, particularly relevant in our fast-paced, often disconnected world where emotional suffering has become commonplace. Mind precedes all mental states, begins the Dhammapada. Mind is their chief, they are all mind-wrought. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows. These opening verses contain the essential insight that forms the foundation of Buddhist psychology. Our experiences of suffering or joy stem not primarily from external circumstances, but from the quality of our minds and how we perceive and respond to life. This understanding offers tremendous hope, for if suffering begins in the mind, then so too does healing. The suffering we experience, whether it manifests as anxiety that tightens the chest, anger that burns through the body, or sadness that weighs heavy on the heart, arises from patterns of thinking and being that we have developed over years. Modern psychology recognizes these as cognitive distortions, emotional reactivity, and attachment to fixed ideas about ourselves and reality. The Dhammapada, with remarkable psychological sophistication, identified these same patterns thousands of years ago and offered practices to transform them. What makes these ancient teachings so powerful is their practicality. The Buddha was, at heart, a pragmatist interested not in philosophical speculation but in what works to alleviate suffering. The practices derived from the Dhammapada address both the symptoms and the root causes of our emotional distress. They offer not just temporary relief but a pathway to lasting inner transformation. They show us how to work directly with our thoughts, speech, actions, and attitudes to cultivate states of mind that naturally give rise to peace. I invite you to consider 6 daily practices, each rooted in the wisdom of the Dhammapada and supported by contemporary psychological understanding. These are not quick fixes or surface-level techniques, but pathways of transformation that work at the deepest levels of consciousness. When practiced consistently, they create new neural pathways, reshape emotional habits, and gradually shift our entire relationship with ourselves and the world. The first practice focuses on the cultivation of mindful awareness of our thoughts. The Dhammapada tells us, the mind is very hard to check and swift, it falls on what it wants. The training of the mind is good, a mind so tamed brings happiness. This practice invites us to become aware of our thought patterns, particularly those that generate suffering, and to learn the art of redirecting the mind toward states that promote peace and well-being. The second practice involves the cultivation of compassionate speech. Speak only words that do no harm, advises the Buddha, words through which one would not torment oneself nor harm others. Our speech has tremendous power to heal or harm, to create connection or division. Learning to speak with truth, kindness, and purpose creates harmony both within ourselves and in our relationships with others. The third practice centers on the cultivation of loving kindness or metta, a warm-hearted friendliness toward ourselves and all beings. This practice directly addresses the negative emotions that cause us suffering, replacing them with states of love, compassion, and goodwill. When we practice metta, we are watering the seeds of our innate capacity for love and connection. The fourth practice involves transforming suffering through the practice of tunglan or taking and sending. This practice invites us to work directly with difficult emotions by breathing in the pain we or others experience and breathing out relief, healing, and peace. Rather than avoiding suffering, we learn to transform it through the alchemy of compassion. The fifth practice focuses on present moment awareness, mindfulness of our moment-to-moment experience. The Dhammapada states, mindfulness is the way to the deathless, unmindfulness is the way to death. Those who are mindful do not die, those who are not mindful are as if already dead. This striking verse speaks to the profound shift that occurs when we learn to live with awareness rather than on autopilot. The final practice involves the cultivation of contentment through non-attachment. The Dhammapada teaches that attachment to worldly desires creates suffering, while letting go brings freedom and peace. This practice helps us recognize when we are clinging to outcomes, experiences, or possessions, and gently release that grip to find a more spacious way of being. Together, these 6 practices form a comprehensive approach to inner transformation. They address how we relate to our thoughts, our speech, our emotions, our suffering, our present moment experience, and our desires. They work synergistically, each supporting and deepening the others. And most importantly, they meet us exactly where we are, in the midst of our humanity, with all its messiness and beauty. As we begin to explore these practices, I invite you to approach them not as obligations or items on a to-do list, but as invitations to a deeper, more peaceful way of being. The journey toward inner peace is not about perfection but presence, showing up with openness and compassion for yourself exactly as you are in this moment. The Dhammapada reminds us, little by little, moment by moment, a wise person should remove their impurities, as a smith removes the dross from silver. Healing happens gradually, through consistent practice and gentle persistence. Let us now journey deeper into these practices, exploring how they can be woven into the fabric of daily life to transform our relationship with ourselves, with others, and with the inevitable challenges of human existence. The first practice, cultivating mindful awareness of thoughts, begins with the recognition that our minds are constantly generating thoughts, many of which create suffering through judgment, worry, rumination, or craving. The Dhammapada illuminates this reality. All that we are is the result of what we have thought, it is founded on our thoughts, it is made up of our thoughts. Our thoughts shape our experiences, yet most of us have never learned to work skillfully with the thinking mind. This practice invites us to become observers of our own thoughts, creating a space of awareness between ourselves and the mental content that arises. Begin each day with a few minutes of sitting quietly and watching your thoughts emerge and pass away, like clouds moving across the sky. Notice especially thoughts that create emotional disturbance, judgments about yourself or others, worries about the future, regrets about the past. Don't try to stop these thoughts, which only creates more struggle, but simply notice them with kindness. The Dhammapada advises, like a fletcher straightens an arrow, the wise one trains the mind to be upright. As you develop this witnessing presence, you'll begin to recognize recurring thought patterns that lead to suffering. Perhaps you notice harsh self-criticism when you make a mistake, or catastrophic thinking when faced with uncertainty. These patterns, once unconscious, become visible in the light of awareness. And what we can see, we can transform. Throughout the day, practice catching unhelpful thoughts before they gain momentum. When you notice yourself caught in a negative thought spiral, pause and take a breath. Remember the Buddha's teaching, you are what you think. All that you are arises from your thoughts. With your thoughts, you make your world. Gently redirect your attention to thoughts that create peace rather than disturbance, thoughts of gratitude, compassion, or present moment awareness. This practice aligns beautifully with modern cognitive behavioral psychology, which recognizes that our thoughts directly influence our emotions and behaviors. By becoming aware of automatic negative thoughts and consciously choosing more balanced perspectives, we can significantly reduce emotional suffering. The difference in the Buddhist approach is the emphasis on witnessing thoughts with non-judgmental awareness rather than immediately trying to change them. This spacious awareness itself begins the transformation. As our ability to work skillfully with thoughts develops, we naturally move into the second practice, cultivating compassionate speech. The words we speak emerge from our thoughts, yet they take on a life of their own, creating ripples of effect in the world around us. The Buddha identified 4 aspects of right speech: abstaining from false speech, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle chatter. These guidelines invite us to speak in ways that create harmony rather than discord, connection rather than division. Begin practicing compassionate speech by bringing mindful awareness to your words before, during, and after speaking. Before speaking, pause briefly to consider, is what I'm about to say true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it the right time? During conversation, notice the tone and energy of your words. Are you speaking from a place of goodwill or from irritation? After speaking, reflect on the impact of your words. Did they contribute to understanding and connection, or to confusion and separation? The Dhammapada reminds us, one should speak only that word by which one would not torment oneself nor harm others. That word is indeed well spoken. This practice doesn't mean being artificially positive or suppressing authentic expression. Rather, it means speaking your truth with care for how it is delivered and received. It means choosing words that heal rather than wound, that build bridges rather than walls. In daily life, compassionate speech might mean pausing before responding to a provocative email, choosing words that de-escalate rather than intensify conflict, or simply listening deeply to another before formulating a response. It might mean refraining from gossip or complaint, not from a place of rigid restraint but from understanding the harm these forms of speech cause to ourselves and others. Modern psychological research affirms the power of our speech patterns to shape our mental states and relationships. Negative speech patterns, complaining, criticizing, catastrophizing, reinforce neural pathways of negativity and stress. Conversely, speech that focuses on gratitude, possibility, and connection strengthens pathways associated with well-being and resilience. By choosing our words mindfully, we literally rewire our brains for greater peace. The third practice, cultivating loving kindness, metta, works directly with the heart's capacity for warmth and goodwill. This practice has been a cornerstone of Buddhist psychology for millennia, offering a direct antidote to states of anger, fear, and alienation. The formal practice involves sending well wishes to ourselves and increasingly wider circles of beings, but the essence of metta can infuse every moment of our days. To practice metta meditation, sit comfortably and begin by generating feelings of kindness toward yourself. Repeat phrases such as, "May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be peaceful and at ease." Allow these wishes to sink in, connecting with the sincere desire for your own well-being. Then gradually extend these same wishes to others, to loved ones, to neutral people, to difficult people, and eventually to all beings. The power of this practice lies in its simplicity and directness. When we feel anger arising, we can silently offer the phrases of metta to the person who has triggered us. When anxiety grips the heart, we can surround ourselves with the warmth of these well wishes. When we witness suffering in the world, we can extend loving kindness to those affected, recognizing our shared humanity. Throughout the day, look for opportunities to practice stealth metta, silently offering well wishes to people you pass on the street, sit next to on the bus, or stand in line with at the store. This practice transforms how we move through the world, shifting from indifference or judgment to a stance of basic friendliness and goodwill. The fourth practice, transforming suffering through Tunglen, builds on the foundation of loving kindness but works even more directly with pain and difficulty. Tunglen, which means taking and sending, involves breathing in suffering and breathing out relief or healing. It reverses our usual pattern of avoiding pain and grasping at pleasure, teaching us to move toward difficulty with an open heart. To practice Tunglen, begin by connecting with your own suffering or the suffering of someone else. As you breathe in, visualize taking in this pain as a dark, heavy energy. Allow yourself to fully feel it, abandoning the habitual resistance. As you breathe out, visualize sending light, space, and healing. You might imagine this as a bright, cool energy that brings relief and peace. This practice can be done formally in meditation or informally throughout the day whenever you encounter suffering, your own or another's. When you feel anxious about a presentation at work, breathe in the anxiety not just for yourself but for everyone feeling anxious at that moment, and breathe out calm and confidence for all. When you see someone in distress, mentally breathe in their pain with the wish to relieve it, and breathe out whatever would bring them comfort. Tunglen works through several mechanisms. It helps us develop greater emotional resilience by teaching us to stay present with difficult feelings rather than avoiding them. It cultivates compassion by connecting us with the universal nature of suffering. And it diminishes our self-absorption, which is often at the root of emotional distress. As the Dhammapada states, victory breeds hatred. The defeated live in pain. Happily the peaceful live, giving up victory and defeat. The transformation of difficult emotions through these practices is not instantaneous. There will be days when anger still flares, anxiety still grips, or hurt still pierces. Yet with consistent practice, we develop a new relationship with these emotions. Instead of being swept away by them, we learn to hold them in awareness with compassion. We begin to experience their changing, insubstantial nature. They arise, they are experienced, and they pass away, like all phenomena in this impermanent world. This brings us to the fifth practice, developing present moment awareness. The Dhammapada states with stark clarity, mindfulness is the way to the deathless, unmindfulness is the way to death. This verse speaks to the profound difference between living with awareness and living on autopilot. When we move through life unmindfully, we miss the only moment we ever truly have, this one. We exist but do not fully live. Present moment awareness involves bringing attention to our experience as it unfolds, the sensations in the body, the quality of the breath, the activity of the mind, the feelings in the heart. It means noticing when the mind has wandered into past or future and gently bringing it back to now. It means meeting each moment with curiosity rather than assumption, with openness rather than judgment. This practice can be integrated into even the most mundane activities of daily life. As you shower, feel the sensations of water on your skin. As you eat, taste each bite fully. As you walk, feel the contact of your feet with the ground. As you interact with others, truly listen rather than planning what you'll say next. Even a single conscious breath can be a moment of mindfulness that interrupts the momentum of stress and reactivity. Modern neuroscience has validated what practitioners of mindfulness have known for centuries. Regular present moment awareness literally changes the brain, strengthening areas associated with attention, emotional regulation, and perspective-taking while reducing activity in areas associated with stress reactivity and self-referential processing. This practice is not just spiritually transformative but physiologically healing. The final practice, cultivating contentment through non-attachment, addresses one of the primary sources of our suffering, craving for what we don't have and clinging to what we do have. The Dhammapada teaches, there is no fire like passion, no loss like hate, no pain like the aggregates, no bliss other than peace. This verse points to the suffering that comes from being driven by desire and aversion, and the peace that comes from letting go. To practice non-attachment is to notice when the mind is grasping at an outcome, an experience, a possession, an identity, and to gently release that grip. It's to recognize that our happiness does not depend on external circumstances being exactly as we wish, but on our internal relationship to whatever arises. This doesn't mean not caring or not taking action, but rather not being driven by compulsive craving or aversion. In daily life, this practice might involve noticing when you're fixated on a particular outcome, "I'll be happy when," and shifting to appreciation of what's already present. It might mean observing the mind's tendency to always want more success, more recognition, more possessions, and questioning whether these things truly lead to lasting fulfillment. It might mean letting go of rigid ideas about who you are and should be, allowing for a more fluid and compassionate self-relationship. The Dhammapada states, health is the greatest gift, contentment is the greatest wealth. This teaching invites us to discover the abundance that exists right here, right now, when we're not caught in the mind's endless wanting. Modern research on happiness confirms this ancient wisdom. Beyond meeting basic needs, increasing wealth and possessions contribute surprisingly little to well-being. Far more important are gratitude, presence, connection, and meaning, qualities that can be cultivated regardless of external circumstances. As you integrate these 6 practices into your daily life, you may notice subtle shifts in your experience. Perhaps you catch a negative thought pattern before it spirals. Perhaps you respond to a difficult person with compassion rather than reactivity. Perhaps you find yourself enjoying simple moments that would have previously gone unnoticed. These small changes are the first signs of a deeper transformation taking place. The path to inner peace is not linear. There will be days of clarity and calm, and days when old patterns resurface with surprising force. The Dhammapada acknowledges this reality. Little by little, moment by moment, a wise person should remove their impurities, as a smith removes the dross from silver. Transformation happens gradually, through consistent practice and gentle persistence. Each moment of awareness, each act of kindness, each breath of presence shapes the mind in subtle but cumulative ways. What matters most is not perfection but continuity of intention and practice. The Buddha taught that regular practice, even if modest, is far more effective than occasional intense effort. Start where you are, with what you can manage. Perhaps begin with 5 minutes of mindfulness meditation in the morning, or a commitment to speaking kindly to yourself throughout the day. As these practices become familiar, you can gradually expand them, weaving them more deeply into the fabric of your life. Remember that these practices are not separate from your life but are your life, lived with greater awareness and compassion. They are not about escaping reality but about engaging with it more fully and skillfully. The peace they cultivate is not a passive state but a vibrant presence that allows you to respond to life's joys and challenges with an open heart and clear mind. As you walk this path, you may find that the boundaries between formal practice and everyday life begin to dissolve. Mindfulness becomes not just something you do on the meditation cushion but a way of being. Loving kindness becomes not just phrases you repeat but the natural orientation of your heart. The practices themselves become less effortful and more intuitive, arising naturally from your deepening wisdom and compassion. The Dhammapada tells us, fully comprehending this, the wise, who are mindful, rejoice in being mindful and find delight in the domain of the noble ones. There is joy in this path, not the fleeting happiness that comes from getting what we want, but the deeper satisfaction that arises from living in alignment with our highest values and truest nature. As we free ourselves from the patterns that create suffering, we discover a well of peace that has been within us all along. I invite you to approach these practices with patience, curiosity, and kindness toward yourself. There is no rush, no destination to reach. Each step on the path is the path itself. Each moment of practice is already perfect in its own way. As the Dhammapada reminds us, let go of the past, let go of the future, let go of the present. Crossing to the farther shore of existence, with mind released from everything, do not undergo birth and decay again. May these practices serve as a refuge and guide as you navigate the joys and sorrows of human existence. May they help you transform difficult emotions into wisdom and compassion. May they lead you to the peace that is your birthright, a peace that cannot be shaken by changing circumstances because it flows from the deepest understanding of who and what you truly are.